And that's what Naomi does at the beginning. But then when you read the entirety of Ruth, we see her destiny is completely changed through Ruth herself. God already had a plan for her, but she was so quick to accept her life and her destiny as bitterness. She changed her name and labeled herself as such. And that's what we do as well. But then from that story, it tells us that it's not the complete, that's not the end. There's more to come and there's a purpose for everything, even within our grief, within our sorrow, within the hard times. So the second step, I would say, about figuring out our identity and figuring out our purpose is to stop defining ourselves by what we think is right, but rather define ourselves by what is possible. By going first to God, confirming with Him and obeying Him in that aspect. Where we are right now is not the end. It's just the beginning. And that's where faith is. Having faith that where we are now is not the end, but rather the beginning of what is to come. And then talk of identity, something I like to refer to is Matthew 3:17. So in Matthew 3:17, right after Jesus comes up from the water, a voice from heaven says, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." Now, this is before Jesus has performed any public miracles. This is before he's preached any sermons. This is before he's healed countless of people. This is before he feeds 5,000s and 4,000s. This is before anything. This is before his journey and his activity. And yet, God comes out and says that he's pleased with Jesus, despite him not performing any miracles, performing anything that we know of yet. This tells me that God doesn't love us more when we perform more, nor does he love us less if we mess up. Our identity in Christ is already secured. And our identity doesn't come from what we do and how often we do certain things. That has already been painted. God was pleased with Jesus because God knew where Jesus was already headed. God knew what Jesus was made for. And because Jesus was already just showing signs of obedience, that was enough for God to be pleased. And that's what I feel is the same for us. We may not necessarily know what we're supposed to do right now. Maybe the instructions haven't been made clear to us as of right now. But rather than spiraling and trying to figure out ourselves, trying to create next steps for ourselves, we have to sit down and just walk in his obedience now. Hear what we already have been told and walk in that. And God will be pleased with us because our identity is already secured.